Since February 24th, 2022, Russia bombed thousands of targets in Ukraine, some strategic, but many offering little tactical value and simply terrorizing the civilian population. This unprovoked aggression has led to massive losses and the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. Iuliia Osmolovska, director at Globsec's Kyiv office, now joins me to discuss this topic and where we go from here. Good evening, Iuliia. Thank you very much for joining us on this special edition of World News Tonight.
Good evening.
Now, it's been 1,000 days since the full-scale invasion on almost 11 years of war with Russia. How has the war changed in the past 1,000 days? And what do you think are the biggest challenges right now that Ukraine is facing?
Yeah, definitely we've seen this war, full-scale invasion that started 1,000 days ago, as a bit different type of war, either from conventional or even hybrid war that Russia launched in Ukraine in 2014. So basically this war has shown and proved a very distinctive feature that it is the war of technologies, definitely. Probably not the most advanced right now that we have on the front, but time will show. But definitely this is something that could enable Ukraine to achieve superiority on the battlefield if we can't outbeat Russia with numbers of techniques, for instance, or manpower. So this is something that we're really emphasizing right now in our contacts with partners. And I think that this will be a decisive phase of the war for the next coming months. So basically, the biggest challenge, I would say, is to maintain unity and to maintain unity of partners of supporting Ukraine, to maintain unity within the country inside, to prevent our partners and citizens of the partnering countries from developing this fatigue or indifference to the war, because it's not just the war about the land or territories, it's the war about values. However pathetic it might sound to you, but it's actually something that Ukrainians are losing their lives for right now.
No, it doesn't sound pathetic at all. In fact, we commend you for actually protecting our freedom here at home, because if Ukraine fails, I think we're all aware of the fact that we're next. Now, in this spirit, I'd like you to perhaps tell us, what is your opinion on the approach to this war for the past 1,000 days? I've frequently called it a piecemeal approach, sometimes making delayed decisions, sometimes worrying about escalation. How do you think the Biden administration has handled this over the last 1,000 days? What are some of the perhaps failures, and what are some of the successes?
Yeah, you used a very good phrase, a metaphor to describe this assistance of our partners and the approach of Biden administration. I would add another metaphor. So this is something which we know as the tactics of thousands of cuts. So it's actually about making Russia weaker, but not defeated, not enable it to get defeated by Ukraine. And this is probably the biggest challenge that we faced from the Biden administration, because it's also about proper strategy. What to do actually with the war? Are the partners going to support Ukraine to be able to win it and to defeat Russia, or just to maintain and not to fall? So this is the dilemma that we still see in Biden's decision. And definitely you correctly mentioned the delays of the assistance. This is very important because, for instance, one of these delays is partially responsible for the fact that the counteroffensive that Ukrainians launched in summer and fall 2023 had not been sufficient, effective, and fully executed to the extent that we would have hoped for, provided the assistance, the military assistance, could have been in place by the time. So on the positive side, I would say that Biden definitely managed, United States as a whole managed to maintain and to consolidate the partners and allies around this case, around the war in Ukraine, Russian invasion, and actually even take the example of Ramstein meeting. It was launched and initiated by the Secretary of Defense of the United States. And then this format had grown much wider than the NATO allies. So to the date, it encompasses over 50 different countries. So this is, I think, one of the biggest achievements of the United States within this first 1,000 days of war, a full-scale invasion, sorry.
And finally, President-elect Donald Trump, we've got about 2 months until he is inaugurated. He said that he wants to end this war and end it in 24 hours. Are there reasons for you to be optimistic that something may change and some peace may be achieved? What are your thoughts?
I don't want to challenge the assessment of the president-elect of the United States. At least, contrary on the contrast to Joseph Biden, he has a plan, or he has a vision, he has a strategy. The question is whether it will work or not, because this is not about imposing his own vision on all the parties, and a lot of different factors like China factor, Middle East factor, a lot of different things will be also playing within this bigger picture. And then it also has to be a solution with which both sides, I mean, Ukraine happy with and consider it to be a fair solution. But I think that the meaning of this fair for Ukraine and Russia is completely different. So I think that the biggest challenge will be for this plan, for this strategy of the president-elect to face the reality, and then probably this strategy could be modified at some point.
Well, let's certainly hope that there are brighter days ahead. Iuliia Osmolovska, Director of Globsat's Kiev office, thank you very much for joining me and sharing your thoughts. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that concludes this special edition of World News Tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes, and we'll see you next time. Good night.